Hey, beautiful friends, and welcome to the Botanical Biohacking Podcast. We continue with part 4 of the science of tongue diagnosis, and we begin with taste receptors and the internal organs. Your tongue is a major flavor receptor in the body, but it's not the only one. There are also flavor receptors found throughout your body. Your heart can taste bitter. When your lungs and sinuses sense bitter, it triggers an innate immune response. Your kidneys can taste salt. The organ structures are acutely aware of the nutrition they are obtaining or the poisons they may be encountering. They approximate the various flavor signatures into rough categories of flavors, and the body responds accordingly. Your tongue forms the first line of defense, and the rest of the organ structures have a redundancy as a failsafe. This is why toddlers chew on everything. This is also how most animals explore the world and determine the chemical nature of their environment. The communication between organs and the tongue will tell you very quickly to stop eating rotten meat, poisonous plants, and may even cause us to become attracted to plant flavors associated with phytochemistry necessary for our healing. We evolved alongside plants, and our ability to approximate their chemical contents is why we have survived this long. It is how we've been able to tell food and medicine from poisons. Many animals have an intuitive sense of what to eat. This is because they are allowed to chew on their environment well into adulthood. Flavors can affect our body with chemical generalities. The flavors alone will have physiological effects on our neuroendocrine system, changing the way we think and feel. They can increase or decrease gastric motility just by approximating what the body is likely to encounter. If your body senses that something is bitter, it will assume that it may be poisonous and try to get it out of the body by increasing intestinal movement. The body will also create changes to increase absorption when encountering something sweet. This is one of the reasons why artificial sweeteners are not so useful. Your tongue is like that outer membrane of the single-celled organism, detecting the chemicals in the environment and causing adaptations. This visceral response to the environment has been essential to our long-term survival. This method of detecting is so ancient that it predates our nervous system. This is why taste buds can both develop and heal independently of nerves. Just as the various parts of the tongue were once part of your fetal torso, the taste receptors are formed by unique molecular mechanisms. There is a common origin and neuroendocrine language to taste receptors throughout the body and on the tongue. Taste buds are not passive receptors. They are active communities of hundreds of cells talking to each other via intracellular communication. This communication happens through our old friend nitric oxide and likely through other signaling gases as well. Through all of this, there is an ancient pathway which is present in all bilateral creatures. If you have any kind of symmetry to you, then you are probably a bilateral. Your body knows to grow 2 ears instead of 3 thanks to a specialized signaling system called Hedgehog Signaling. It aids the development of adult neural stem cells. This Hedgehog Signaling pathway transmits information to embryonic cells for proper cell differentiation. This is all regulated by nitric oxide, and when it's off kilter, it's associated with tumors and cancer. This hedgehog signaling allows the body to heal independently of nerves. This is important because these overlapping systems of redundancy help to ensure that damage to the nervous system won't immediately destroy your internal organs or turn you into a mutant, because most mutations don't give you adamantium claws and healing factor, they just give you tumors that kill you. These structures that were once the same, that grew up together, can still speak the same signaling language. This has been found in the testes, ovaries, and adrenal glands. These common structures have a communication due to a hedgehog signaling pathway. These pathways communicate via their furry cilium. Remember the common primordium and the various tissue types which make up the tongue and the embryological origins, with the base of the tongue originating in the lower body? The root of the tongue is used in Chinese medicine to reflect the kidney, ovaries, testes, and adrenal glands. Hedgehog signaling may explain this connection. The tongue speaks other signaling languages besides hedgehog. Over the eons, it's picked up other languages as well. It's a collection of various tissues and signaling types. It's like the United Nations, with representatives of different tissues and signaling pathways all in one location. At least 3 distinct cell types are found in mammalian taste buds. Type 1 cells appear to be glial-like. Receptor cells express G protein-coupled taste receptors for sweet, bitter, or umami compounds. Presynaptic cells transduce acid stimuli, or the sour taste. And salts, we're not exactly sure yet. During gustatory stimulation, taste bud cells secrete synaptic, autocrine, and paracrine transmitters. These 5 transmitters include GABA, serotonin, 5-HT, ATP, norepinephrine, and acetylcholine. These 5 paracrine transmitters are the language that unifies the language of the internal organs, the endocrine system, and the flavor receptors found throughout the body and directly on the tongue. Cross-referencing these paracrine transmitters with herbal pharmacology reveals a link between the flavors, the 5 phases of Chinese medicine, organ systems, and their emotional neuroendocrine aspects. There may be a very direct connection between the 5 organs, the 5 emotions, and tongue diagnosis. But that is a rabbit hole for another day. In the next episode, we will be exploring the sublingual veins and how they can help us start to unlock the mysteries of the vascular system and pulse diagnosis. Thank you so much for listening to the Botanical Biohacking Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Miles.